Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, the place we discuss all things usmnt y la selección mexicana. My name is Adrian. Joining me this week is my co-host and tocayo Adrian. Adrian, what's up, bro?
Hey, how's it going, dude? Tuesday night over here. It's apparently about to be the last couple of days of heat in Texas. We shall see about that, but enjoying this weather that is extremely nice nowadays here in Austin.
Nice, but it gets dark too early for my taste, man. I don't like when they
Yeah,
go to this, what is it, the day
daylight
savings or
savings.
whatever. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it is what it is, man. Uh,
Yeah.
anyway, let's get into this episode. We're going to be discussing the MLS playoffs so far. We've seen the wild card matches. We've seen the best of three. Most of them, at least, already have concluded. There's a couple that are going to the third match, and we're also going to kind of give our predictions to the upcoming next rounds of the MLS playoffs. Adrian, before we kind of really go into discussing results and matches, I kind of want to talk to you about something that was kind of controversial when it was announced, and now even more controversial that it's been kind of implemented into playoffs. The new round one playoffs are the best of three matches. We see something like this in the NFL, NBA, MLB, right, where they play best of four early rounds or best of seven, in the later rounds. But how do you think it's been implemented in soccer and MLS here? Are you a fan of it? Have you come around to it now that we've seen a lot of matches been played, or are you still a fan of the old ida y vuelta, home and away, aggregate matches style?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not gonna say that I dislike it. Just because I have yet to figure out if it's something good or bad. The one thing that I dislike is they split up the matches a week. In I guess there's a week in between
Yeah,
each match,
right.
and that to me just too long, man. It's just too long um, for the matches to happen. And I understand that maybe the decision was made to protect the players as much as they could, right? Because it's a very fatiguing sport, right? And
Hmm.
for having players running 90 minutes every other day, it isn't necessarily the best thing to do. Although they do it in Europe, um, but it's a tough one for me. I'm gonna say right now I am on the not so not so on board. I think I would like to see maybe another 2 seasons of this and see if it's making any sense. The thing is that I mean we'll go through the matches and each one of them, but so far I mean the pretty much the big teams have taken the lead and essentially gone with it. I think I thought the expectation from MLS was to have more entertaining matches or have more entertaining rounds,
Hmm.
playoff rounds, or at least the
Hmm.
first one. But I think that hasn't been the case. I know there's some matches going around today, and I think one more tomorrow. But I I I don't think at least this specific approach on round one is making the MLS more entertaining.
Yeah, there's Orlando's currently playing right now. They're in minute 60. If they hold on to this 1-0 win, they'll qualify in two matches, not having to go to the third match. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be another match tomorrow on the 8th. We're recording this November 7th. Then there's a couple third round matches like Houston and RSL on the 11th and Seattle and Dallas on the 10th to kind of conclude it, right? But before we kind of dive into the matches, yeah, I mean, I agree with you, man. I think another couple seasons seeing this can be beneficial. I don't hate it as much as I thought I was going to hate it. I don't like the fact, like you said, that it makes the early rounds of playoffs drag so much, right? I mean, we saw the wild card matches start back in like the 25th of October. It's November 7th, and the first round isn't even over yet, and won't be over for a while, at least until the 11th. So that's like 2 weeks for the first round slash wild card round. Um, but you know, I I've seen some exciting matches here and there. I like the fact that at least for these early rounds that they don't go to extra time and go straight to penalty. Kind of makes every match kind of exciting, right? But at the same time, like you said, I mean, there have been some blowouts. Like LAFC, who was the higher seed, was expected to beat Vancouver, right? And they did by a lot. I guess the only one that was really a shocker, which we'll get into, was the St. Louis getting knocked out by eighth seed Sporting Kansas City, right? But other than that, yeah, I mean, I'm on the fence as well, like you. I'd like to see it maybe season or two more, but I thought it was going to be a lot worse, to be honest. I think the only negative for me, at least, is that it just makes the early rounds and the playoffs in general just drag so much. We know why they did it. More games equals more money, but yeah, it's kind of been dragging, right?
Yeah, definitely, man. It just seems that it's moving so slow, and you know, for those teams that are able to move onto the next stage as early as on the second match, they're gonna have to at least wait another week before they can play. Um, so oof, it's just I think if they figure out that timeline of how to make the round one more entertaining and I guess streamlined in a way, it's gonna be beneficial. But as of right now, to me, and along with you, it's a so-so. I wonder if we say this because we have been or not programmed but trained to like the playoff format from other American sports. I am not a fan of NFL or NHL. I sometimes watch the NBA, but I grew up and also living here in the states has made me be I guess has indirectly made me I guess unfazed by
Yeah,
this format, and I don't really mind it anymore. And of course, Liga MX has a playoff format as well. So as much as I don't like it, I guess it's to me just you know
it is what it is. What
normal.
we grew up with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Let me get on a tangent real quick for just a quick question. For Do you think Liga MX will incorporate this type of format with a three? We know Liga MX loves money too.
Oh man, I really hope not. I don't think they have enough teams to make this round one and whatnot, or implementing the format of uh, you know the best of three.
Yeah.
Um, I know that the Doña Fede and sus secuaces and all the dueños are essentially soccer's for money, uh, but I don't see how people would like this, and uh, just the fact that a lot of the Liga MX players complain a lot about the number of matches and all that stuff. I just don't think there's enough infrastructure in Liga MX to make this happen. I mean, if someone's gonna make it work and see if it's viable, it's gonna be MLS.
Yeah, yeah, good points. Well, we'll see how these round of three matches conclude. Um, like we said, the only one that's really going to a third match is Houston, Real Salt Lake, Seattle, and Dallas, and I think that's it, right? I mean, we still have Philadelphia and New England that still have the second match that they play tomorrow.
Yeah.
If Orlando holds on to this win, they'll advance. But other than that, yeah, I mean, the other matches were kind of conclusive. So let's get into it, man. Kind of just talking through what we've seen so far in the round one, best of three matches, starting with the number one seed in the West, St. Louis versus number eight seed SKC, Sporting Kansas City, and Sporting Kansas City just completely dominated them. 4-1 the first match in St. Louis, then 2-1 in Kansas. So yeah, I mean, were you shocked by this result?
I definitely was. I did not expect San Luis to fall this hard. I mean, I know it's the latest or the newest franchise on MLS, but they had a solid first season as a newbie in MLS. Uh, I was completely surprised because I mean I did I really followed MLS this year. I watched a bunch of the matches. I didn't watch all the matches, but I watched a bunch of them.
Mhm.
And SKC was trailing at the very beginning of the league. And to see them here, with Alan Pulido now in better form and participating on pretty much all of the goals. Um, makes me feel that this is just goes to show that experience almost always will trump, I guess, eagerness of the newcomer, right? So I was surprised to see that 4-1. I think the 2-0 makes more sense. But man, San Luis just completely fell apart. I mean, no reaction from them whatsoever. I think they just got stunned, and didn't know how to adapt.
Yeah, I mean SKC when they qualify to the playoffs, we've seen in the past they're a different team. They're always pretty dangerous in the playoffs. So, like you said, experience may have played a factor here. The
Mhm.
next match in the West, Houston Real Salt Lake. Houston won 2-1 in Houston, then lost to Real Salt Lake in penalties 5-4 for the second match, which sets up the third match to be played in Houston on the 11th of November. I mean, this one I watched both of these matches, and Houston was the better team, definitely in the first match. I think they took the lead early on in the second match and got tied, and then had a chance to close it out. Penalties didn't close it out, obviously, and now we're going to be hoping to win it at home. This is a team that won the U.S. Open Cup this year. So they're hoping to also make a run here in the playoffs. It's been a while since Houston made a run in the playoffs, so I don't know. I mean, that's still one that's going to be two very close matches, 2-1 and 1-1 on penalties. It's going to be another close third match, I feel. Um, Another match here, man. LAFC completely, again, outclassed Vancouver. This was number 3 versus number 6 on the table on the West, 5-2 in Los Angeles, and then they won 1-0 in Vancouver. Um, I think this is one we all expected, right?
Yeah, no, hands down. I mean, I don't think anyone thought Vancouver was going to beat LAFC. Although in that second match, Vancouver was very close to tying the game at the very end. It was just very unlucky on their side. And of course, I mean, you can see the big difference on teams between LAFC and Vancouver. The fact that you have Denis Wanga and Giorgelini, Carlos Vela, and a very robust bench on the LAFC side. And when you look at Vancouver, it's like, come on, man, you're having a really hard time trying to find who is the go-to
Right.
player for this team. But they put up a good fight, and unfortunately, it wasn't enough.
Yeah, so LAFC advances to play the winner of Seattle versus Dallas. That this one's another one that's going to be going to the third match that's going to be played on the 10th of November. Seattle won the first one 2-0 in Seattle, and Dallas winning 3-1 in Dallas the second match. So this is going to be, I think, closer than those two results. The third match is probably going to be closer than the two first results that were won by diferencia de goles of 2 goals, right? I mean, a difference of 2 goals. So I don't know. I think this third match is probably going to be a very hard fought battle. That's probably going to be a 1-0 or 2-1 win for whoever wins. I really can't call this one. It really depends on if Dallas's forward line shows up to play. But playing in Seattle does give Seattle an advantage. So we'll see what happens to that one. We'll obviously give our predictions after this and see how far we think each team's going to go here.
Yeah,
Um,
this
Moving
is
on
a
to the
this is a classic
sorry, go for it.
MLS match.
Yeah, yeah. This
I
one's
was gonna say this is a classic. It's a
yeah,
it's a classic MLS match.
yeah. Two classic teams in MLS, and yeah, it's going to be a good battle there for sure. On the east side, we had Red Bull New York advancing from the wild card, and they played Cincinnati, and ultimately they lost 3-0 to Cincinnati in the first leg. Then in the second leg, they had a chance to close it out twice in penalties. Cincinnati missed a penalty. Red Bulls the fourth penalty or the fifth penalty. Red Bulls missed it the one after, so they didn't win it there. And then they had another chance and didn't win it. And ultimately, they missed two back to back penalties. I think penalty 9 and 10 that ultimately costed them the win. So Cincinnati knocking out Red Bull 1-8 on the Eastern table. I think another one that we kind of figured, right?
Yeah, it was a no-brainer, man. Sin City is up on the it's up on the go, to become the champion. I mean, they are the community, well, not community shield, but the, what is it called, the supporter shield winner of the tournament. And I had the feeling that they're going to make it all the way to the final. But I'll keep my predictions at this level before we jump into them. Good to see my boy Brandon Basket moving on, and I'm excited for Sin City, man.
Yeah, they're an exciting team for sure, and we'll see how far they can get. I want to hear your predictions for them for sure. I know you've been called; they were your team to win it from the beginning, so we'll
I
see how
think
they
so.
go,
Yeah.
man. The other round or the other match here on the East, Philadelphia, New England, number 4 versus number 5. Philly won the first match 3-1. Tomorrow, November 8th, again, we're recording this on the 7th. They're going to be playing the second match in New England. So this is one that's still kind of open, but I think Philly's just a little bit stronger than New England, and we'll probably close it out tomorrow on the 8th. You feel the same?
Yeah, no, I mean New England has. I mean they made it as fifth seeded on the which this is the Western Conference. No, Conference. Sorry.
Eastern, yeah.
Uh, yeah, they made it fifth seeded, but man, they had a terrible season. I mean, New England Revolution's supposed to be one of those classic teams in MLS, and it's supposed to be a powerhouse, but they have been just a shame to watch. Very boring to watch. They don't have a specific. That is specific, I guess, fire in them like they used to have back in the day. And I think Philly's gonna take it home, even though they're playing in Boston or I guess Foxborough. Um,
Yeah.
they I don't see how or when or why Philly will not take it.
Yeah, I mean, New England got to the playoffs. They're probably happy with that. It's not the New England of old that I think they did back to back MLS Cup appearances back in the early 2010s, or
Yeah.
no, early like in 2006, 2007. So it's not the New England of old. Yeah, I agree. I think Philadelphia takes this. The third match here, Columbus is currently leading. Sorry, Columbus leading. Columbus won the first match 2-0. Atlanta won the second match 4-2. So they will be going to a third tiebreaker match in Columbus. This is another one that's kind of up in the air. I think Atlanta is one of those teams that if they show up, they play really well. But they lost 2-0 in Columbus, so going back there, I don't think it bodes too well for them. I think, at least in my opinion, I think Columbus maybe closes this one out. Who do you got for this one?
I think so too, man. I mean, the problem with Atlanta is that throughout the entire season they have been very intermittent, right? They have matches where they are the best team in MLS, and then you have this place like they had on the first round, or I guess the first match on round one, where they were completely destroyed by Columbus Crew. So I think consistency will take it on this specific leg, and we'll see Atlanta go.
Yeah, and Columbus again, one of those other classic MLS teams who
Mhm.
obviously Atlanta has won it recently, right? But Columbus has more playoff experience. I feel the last match here that's currently ongoing. It's currently in the 73rd minute, and Orlando's still up 1-0. If Orlando holds on to win this 1-0 lead or wins, in general 2-1, 1-2-0, whatever, they will have closed this one out against Nashville. 7 plays Nashville. So yeah, I mean, if I think Orlando maybe holds on to this one, they're playing in Nashville, but it's 18 minutes left. They might find a way to close it out. So yeah, I mean, are you shocked that Nashville is going to be knocked? If they do get knocked out, would you be shocked? I mean, they were seventh.
I mean, I am shocked because Nashville is a tough team to beat. Even though they were seven, that means that they didn't have a strong season as they did last year. But it's one of those teams that you cannot, just automatically disqualify just because of their seed number. They have some strong players like
Yeah,
Henny Mukhtar that they show up and turn everything down. So I'm going. To me this is a shocker. It's even at the same level as shocking as St. Louis getting knocked out in the first round, just because of Nashville's recent history,
right.
not necessarily for anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been very successful the last couple of years. Um,
Hmm.
okay, man. So yeah, that kind of concludes the first round and what we're expecting. Obviously, after this, they go to the conference semifinals, which is back to kind of regular what we understand and know from playoffs, right? Two-legged matches. Then the conference final, which is two-legged matches, home and away, higher seed, and then the one-match MLS Cup playoff or MLS Cup final. Um, so predictions, I think we said so far we have obviously on the West, Sporting Kansas City and LAFC are through. Who do you have? I gave you my prediction. I think Houston's going through, and Dallas and Seattle. That's a toss up. Who do you think is going through between Houston and Russell Lake and Dallas and Seattle?
I think Clutchtown Houston is gonna make it, and I hope that Seattle makes it to the next stage because I dislike Frisco FC. I really dislike them.
Okay.
So
Uh,
I know that it's a seater for the USMNT, and when we're not, I don't have anything and nothing really against them, but Frisco FC, my guys, y'all going down.
all right. On the East, Cincinnati and Crew. Well, I say Crew. Cincinnati has gone through. Crew, Orlando, and who was it? Orlando and Nashville. Still to find out who's going through in Philadelphia, New England. I'm thinking the Crew goes through Orlando and Philly. Would you agree with those?
I agree with the Crew. I think it's more than likely that Orlando will move on, and yes, Philly definitely will take it home.
All right. So moving on to the conference semifinals, you would have then at this rate Houston versus who would it be? Houston versus Sporting Kansas City, and then LAFC versus the winner of Seattle and Dallas, which you're saying is Seattle. Who do you got between Houston and Sporting? I'm thinking Houston wins it somehow.
Between Houston and Sporting Kansas, oof.
Yeah,
uh man,
that's a
I'm
classic
gonna stick with
MLS playoff match
it
for
is a
sure.
classic MLS playoff match. I'm gonna stick with SKC just because I think this recent win against St. Louis is gonna push them to at least reach the semi
Wow.
finals.
Okay. So you got
Yeah.
Sporting going. Okay. And then between LAFC and the winner of Seattle and Dallas, I think we're both picking LAFC. Or are you sticking with Seattle?
Yeah, man, it has to be LAFC. Like if the LAFC gets knocked out in the second round, it's gonna be as shocking as St. Louis going in the first one.
No. And as we're here in the Western Conference, let's finish off the conference final. LAFC versus you're saying Sporting. I'm saying Houston. I think LAFC beats Sporting and or Houston. Who do you got for the final?
Yeah, it has to be LAFC just because of their depth of their team, and as far also they have a bunch of players who have already won the MLS Cup last year, and a lot of them are maybe not highly successful with their previous clubs, but all of them have a plethora of experience that will come in handy on those clutch matches.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that carries them through to the final. On the Eastern side, we have Cincinnati versus Philly. At least we think Philly is going through versus New England. And I think between those guys, I think Cincinnati takes it. What about you?
Since he's gonna take it, yeah, I'm brother with you. Since he's gonna take it,
And then I think we said Columbus is probably going to be the one that goes through versus Orlando, who's now in minute 78, still up 1-0, about to qualify. I think Columbus's playoff experience pushes them past Orlando.
man, that I think this is one of the most level matches on the second round. But I think that I'm gonna stick with Orlando on this one. I know Orlando is seeded number
Really?
two.
Wow.
They had a good end of the season, if I'm not mistaken. And they were right there with Cincinnati, just below 6 points. They had a very solid season.
They did. Probably their best season in the MLS so far.
So
Um, and then so we have Cincinnati against you're saying Orlando, I'm saying Columbus. I think regardless, we both have Cincinnati winning the conference final and going to MLS Cup.
that is correct. I'm gonna stick with my B-boy Vasquez. He's gonna make it, dude.
He's gonna make it. He's gonna win MLS Cup and then move to Europe. Is what you're thinking?
That's what I want. That's what I want for him. I believe in you, Brandon.
So that leads us to the MLS Cup final. LAFC versus Cincinnati. I think we're both hoping for and thinking Cincinnati takes it, and that will be their kind of a fairy tale story there, winning it.
That will be great. Yeah, yeah. Back in
Yeah,
February when we did the MLS preview at the beginning of the season, I think I said I have to go back and please PPG Nation go back if you can and let me know if I'm lying or if I should put a clown face. But I think I said Cincinnati was my team to take it all, and I'm gonna stick with it, man.
yeah. I think I said NYCFC, so I had no chance. Yeah, it shows what I know, right? But yeah, Cincinnati with a good chance to win it here for sure. Who we think is going to take it? These playoffs always get interesting towards the later rounds, so we'll see what's going on
Yeah.
here as we continue watching and updating you guys as playoffs go. But as we wrap this one up, Adrian, we want to remind everybody that the Nations League qualifiers are this month. They start next week, so we're obviously going to be covering that for Mexico and the United States, kind of giving our
Mhm.
reactions to the roster drops once the rosters do release, and obviously covering both home and away matches in those in those qualifiers. So make sure to stick it here with Puro Pinche Gol. Adrian, man, as we wrap this up, working on this finest, dude.
Dude, they can always find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. You can also find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast on. Last but not least, you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Puro Pinche Gol. We post stuff every now and then.
Yeah, make sure to follow us and definitely let us know in the comments below. Who do you got moving on and advancing? Is your team still in the playoff hunt, or has your team been knocked out or didn't even qualify? We definitely like interacting and hearing from you guys down there in the comments. These playoffs are starting to heat up, so like we said, let us know your thoughts on the playoffs. Yeah, man, another good episode with your brother. I'll be seeing you.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Take it easy.
Likewise, man. See ya.